Hello, and welcome to the Gaelic Gaming Hearthstone Winter Cup finals. In this game we have Paddy Byrne, who is playing Warlock in this first match, versus Andrew Boyd, who is playing the Druid. So the format works like this. Each player has 3 decks. They each pick a deck in the first game. The player that loses has to select a different deck, and the player that wins gets to keep their first deck. And whoever runs out of decks first loses. So here we have NighT, who is Andrew Boyd, playing against OmegaCrabLegs, Paddy Byrne. And looking through OmegaCrabLegs deck lists, I'm a little bit concerned about... They're all very aggressive decks, but then he runs board clear, like you can see right now he's got that Hellfire. And I'm a little bit concerned... He's obviously trying to get... He runs Jiraxxus. So he's obviously trying to get to Jiraxxus, and then Jiraxxus' hero power summons a 6/6 Infernal. Very devastating. But the thing about Jiraxxus is, it's extraordinarily difficult if you do not have board control to play Jiraxxus and then win the game. Because he comes back on 15 health, and that turn, all you can play is Jiraxxus, and then a 1-drop if you have one. So if he can make it to Jiraxxus safely, I think he wins the game. If NighT can put on too much pressure early and just dominate board control, going to the later stages of the game, I think he will be successful. Here we have him playing a Harvest Golem. Pretty good, it trades fairly well with everything OmegaCrabLegs has out. We'll just wait to see what the play is here. It looks like it's going to be coin into... Tazdingo, the big Shenjin Shieldmaster. Oh, he's going very aggressive. That's a good move. Obviously, Shenjin Shieldmaster having taunt makes the Harvest Golem trade with it. That's a good play. He's going to look to swipe, I'd imagine. Could innovate out Cairn Bloodhoof, but I think he really needs to at least get rid of that Knife Juggler this turn. He could swipe, innovate, use hero power to kill the taunt. I think that's probably going to be the best option. Then he would dominate board control. He's already got a card lead. Okay, he's not going to innovate. He's just going to let the Knife Juggler stay alive. An interesting decision. But saving that innovate for later plays definitely isn't an unwise decision in itself. He was very lucky not to... Ooh. Okay, that's a good knife. A big knife. And of course, buffing up that Knife Juggler to an extra health is very big. Although he does run Claw, which personally I feel is a very weak card. And if I was playing Druid, I don't think I would run it. However, situationally right now, it's going to come up very big for him. Also having the option to innovate out Cairn Bloodhoof is going to be very big. Cairn, one of the best value legendaries. Doesn't look like he's thinking about doing that though, so we'll see what he does. Playing very conservatively. Doesn't want to give up his card lead. He's taking his time, he's thinking about it.
For the wild.
See, he's going to use that... Ooh. It looks like he's going to pick up that can.
For the wild.
Very, very high value card. People don't tend to run silences in Constructed, so its natural counter isn't there. It just helps you dominate board control for a very long time. Essentially, 2 Yetis, one after each other. And just looking at OmegaCrabLegs cards here, he's looking a bit tapped out. Obviously, he's a Warlock, so he can life tap, but that does sacrifice a bit of his health. I think Yeti and hero power here is probably what the play is going to be. There it is, he's going to get rid of that Harvest Golem. These 2 imps have nothing to buff but themselves. Definitely think NighT has the lead here over OmegaCrabLegs. However, again, as I was talking about at the start, if he can dominate board control and get out that Jiraxxus, that's going to be big for him. But at this point, I don't think it looks very likely. Commander trades decently with Ken. It's gone up to a 4-4 now, so... Oh, swipe. Imagine the swipe's going to come straight on the face of that Argent Commander. Though he does have 7 mana, and that would be a pretty decent play right now. To further establish his board control, and then also... Yeti and the secondary Bloodhoof. Forget its name. Surpasses me. He just decided to draw on 2 cards. Okay. What he doesn't know is the Warlock does have Mortal Coil, so that's going to get rid of it very cost effectively. 1 mana for a kill, and then he gets a card back, which is really looking like a pretty big concern at this point. Is his card draw. But still, NighT still controls the board. Looking quite dangerous for OmegaCrabLegs. That Hellfire, really I feel, is a wasted card, and he probably should reconsider running that in his Warlock deck. Extraordinarily situational, and really just doesn't add a whole lot, especially at this phase of the game. I think if you were running perhaps a giant deck, so Molten Giants, and then so the ideal is to get low health and then taunt them up, perhaps it would help clear the board and get you closer to that goal. But in this situation I don't think Hellfire is particularly cost effective. An abundance of plays here for NighT. Whatever he plays is going to just put him further ahead.
I wonder.
I'd like to see him get out that Golem, the Harvest Golem. A very, very difficult card to kill for its cost. But again, I don't really like the addition of Claw. Obviously he's looking for some early game plays to get to his late game legendary, etc. We'll just see what he does here. He's going to swipe, and then I'd imagine use the 1 damage from Wrath. Which is a good play. And then just Hero Power. So good plays here from NighT. Further establishing himself as the dominant player in this game. And it's looking like OmegaCrabLegs is really going to bait out the damage and then use Jaraxxus as kind of a health gain in itself. And the use of Hellfire here confirms this. Oh! Oh, the potential. So he Soulfired. I'm not sure what the Soulfire got rid of, but he was lucky that wasn't his Jaraxxus, because that's his game over. In that case. The Druid Legendary comes out. His name escapes me, I believe it's Centaurus, I think. And there he goes, but he does not have board control at this phase of the game, so I really don't think he's going to be able to carry this out later on into the game. Obviously, unable to use that 6/6 this turn, and I would be looking for NighT to close this game out shortly. Hang on. What do we have here? He's 1 damage short. He's 1 damage short of lethal. Just thinking if he used Tinkmaster on that, that would negate the taunt. Still, he's looking in very dominant position, trying to really overwhelm the Warlock player. And it looks like he'll be able to do so next turn. The play's very limited here. He's going to have to taunt up as many things as he can. But still, I don't think he's going to be able to stave off the Druid player. If not this turn, next turn. Nat Pale's really not going to add much at this point. That's a good play. That can't taunt now. He's won the game. Got 6 damage. 6 health. Well played, NighT. NighT takes game 1. The Hearthstone Winter Cup. The GG well played is coming out. Good sportsmanship. Great sportsmanship. Always good to see good sportsmanship. We'll go into game 2. And so, NighT will be playing the Druid again. OmegaCrabLegs could either opt for a Mage or Shaman. I'd be anticipating the Shaman, but we'll see what he picks. There he has picked the Shaman. I think the Mage is very weak against Druid, so
I must protect the wild.
if he loses this game with his Shaman, I can't see him winning the final game against this Druid. This Druid is very, very strong. He's gonna be hard pressed to win this one. However, I did look through this deck list, and I think card draw is going to be a big problem for him in this game. Nat Pale, a great early game card. This was obviously before the Nat Pale nerfs. And Nat Pale, arguably the best legendary in the game at the time. I'd anticipate the Silence coming out, but still, Nat Pale this early on has already drawn him a card. So really the value paid for, he's going to pull out. If he dominates board control early, if NighT dominates board control early, sorry, he's really going to be able to... Okay, Rockbiter weapon coming out. Interesting choice. I'm not entirely sure... If he hits Nat Pale, I obviously don't understand, but he hits the... Gets the card draw, and already you can sort of see the trend. OmegaCrabLegs already down on cards, and I mean, still, it's obviously not out of control yet, but I'd anticipate he's going to have a real problem with card draw late game. Just going to have to look for the totems to carry it. Obviously, the totems, arguably the strongest hero power in the game, allows you to get some sentiment of board control for no card cost. Although the Yeti is a very strong 4-drop, arguably the best neutral 4-drop in the game. And in my opinion, it is the second best, even with class 4-drops combined. For minions wise. Strongest being the Mage. Water Elemental. Be interesting to see what he does here. For 5 mana... Probably the Mana Tide Totem. Again, it would probably go down fairly quickly though, so... My only hesitation there. He's really in a tough spot, OmegaCrabLegs. I'm not entirely sure what he's going to do. Okay, he opts for the Azure Drake. A great card, Azure Drake. However, when you're behind, as one could argue that he is, it's actually quite a weak card. And the Druid is looking very strong at this point. A good variation of cards in his hand. And I think he has the lead already. Although, it is much closer than last game. The Shaman could definitely swing this back around. OmegaCrabLegs, Paddyburn is in a tough spot yet again. But we'll see if he can bring it back. I'd be anticipating getting rid of that Azure Drake with both of his 2/1s.
I must safeguard the land.
He's going to go for the 2 damage onto the Yeti. That's an interesting choice. One I'm not entirely sure I agree with. Unless he's going to... I'd imagine he's going to claw here. Because why would you leave the Drake up and not leave the Ice Yeti up? That just seems like... So here we go. Again, board control. Nat Pale's not really doing much at this point. Without a lot of cards that buff his minions, Nat Pale's essentially just taking up space on the board at this point. The Fire Elemental comes in and does 3 damage. Not enough to kill. And so Wrath in that would be a good counter. NighT's just weighing up his options here. Andrew Boyd. 1 game up in the series. He's going to take out that Fire Elemental. And ooh. Is he going to follow it up with the thing is, if he uses... The name escapes me yet again. The thing with the horns, what is it called? I apologize, friends. It's his only ability to silence, and silences can be so big in this game. So I think he made the right choice, just holding on to it. The overload weapon coming in here, Stormforged Axe. And Paddy Byrne is clawing his way back into it. Well, that's going to help him tremendously with his card advantage. And Paddy Byrne is looking on the back foot here. Those two Flame Tongue totems aren't going to be able to do too much for him at this point. And out comes the Mana Tide totem. You'd imagine that goes down instantly, and again stuck between a rock and a hard place in terms of late game card draw. And especially with Ysera NighT, I think NighT will just carry this one out. If he doesn't get overwhelmed too soon, which it doesn't look like OmegaCrabLegs has the ability to do. And the silence coming in straight away from NighT. I like that play. I potentially would have seen him swipe. However, the board isn't quite that stacked, and I believe he runs the legendary spell power card for 2 mana. I believe he runs that, so that synergizes beautifully with swipe. He's sort of limited on plays. Flame Tongue Totem coming in would be quite strong in this situation. I'd actually be quite amazed if we don't see that, and I believe that is Gruul he has in his hand. Gruul, an interesting card. I'm not sure I agree with its inclusion. He may have just played it for... that he had it and, it fit kind of alright into his deck. But Gruul definitely not one of the more prevalent legendaries that you'll see on later. The Flame Tongue Totem does indeed come in. Double Flame Tongue Totem. And he's going to take out the Centaur.
My shield for Argus.
Oh, and here comes the Taunts. Interesting. So he's protecting that Mana Tide Totem, even though it doesn't have any card draw. I'm not sure that's the wisest option. Possibly should have thought more about his card placement there, and the swipe's coming in right now, and it's going to devastate Paddy Byrne. OmegaCrabLegs. That would be really morale crushing, as he only has 2 cards left now. That was his big play. That's come in and been crushed almost instantly by NighT. He's very far ahead at this point, he's just weighing up his options. And yes, he's gonna get rid of that Flame Tongue Totem. He doesn't need to make perfect trades at this point because he is so far ahead in terms of cards. And he just extends his lead.
For the wild.
And deciding to hit the Mana Tide Totem with his hero power because Shamans have a lot of things that do buff. The whole totem mechanic, they buff their totems a lot. And interesting, it comes out, I imagine that gets Tinkmastered. Tinkmaster is essentially a 3rd silence in this Druid deck. And this is obviously pre-nerf Tinkmaster, sorry. I'd in fact be very surprised if we didn't see that come in. And I'd also be anticipating that Taunt and Hero Power and taking out that totem. Unlucky not to get the 1-1. If he gets the 1-1 here, the game is essentially over. Oh, but he's opting for the Force of Nature. Obviously, on ladder, you see a lot of Druids run Force of Nature Savage Raw combination, which is very strong, very good for finishing. And just looking at Paddy Byrne's hand, I have a very hard time believing he's going to be able to pull this one out. Especially with NighT on such high health. Remember what I said at the start of this game, I think he's going to be hard pressed to defeat this with his mage deck. His mage deck is definitely an aggressive deck, with outrunning Pyroblasts. It's been really interesting to see how people have steered away from including Pyroblast in their deck since it got nerfed to 10 mana. Decent play coming in here from OmegaCrabLegs, Paddy Byrne. And he's just going to keep his taunts up and really hope that these totems can carry him. I think he's going to have a very, very difficult time. We could see the Sarah come in here or even double taunts. It really doesn't matter at this point, I don't think. But he's going to go for charge. Interesting. Very rare you see them use for charge unless it's to win the game. He's opted for both charge, which actually is not a horrible option. However, Paddy Byrne does have Lightning Storm in his hand, and that is just going to kill everything because of that spell power totem. Possibly should have gone with the taunts. However, he went aggressive. It didn't quite pan out for him. And now, he's in quite a rough spot. I think I would have gone for Ysera. However, obviously I think he's very concerned about Bloodlust. So he's picked up the taunts to try and keep himself safe. Bloodlust in this situation would be... it'd be very strong from Paddy Byrne. But Andrew's just decided to taunt up. Perhaps he should have done that last turn. You never know. That is the benefit of being able to see everything. So can't give him too much flack for that. But I'd anticipate... just extra card draw at this point is just a luxury for NighT. I'd be anticipating Ysera. I really feel he should Ysera. Ysera just gives you free cards, and at this phase of the game, free cards are just going to be tremendous. However, that card draw has given him Claw, which would allow him to take an extra totem out if he so chose, which is what I would be going for at this point. Far enough lead. My only concern is Bloodlust. Clearing the board is a big deal. I'm not sure I agree with that decision. If he's going to use Claw to hit anything else... well, obviously... I guess he's just sacrificing a bit of his health here to keep that taunt alive. I probably would have gone the other way. But I really don't think it's going to matter. He's just taking his time here, making sure he doesn't make a game-changing mistake. But they're both on 2 cards at this point. Would have been nice to see Ysera down before now, as I really don't think Paddy Byrne would have had anything to deal with it. He would have had a stream of really cheap, really strong cards, and just crushed this game out 100%. But imagine now, Paddy Byrne draws a Hex, he plays Ysera, he hexes it. This is back to a 50-50 game when it really potentially didn't have to be. And just to innovate here is going to allow a hero power, sorry, from NighT if he so desires. And here comes the Ysera. I'd definitely innovate the hero power at this point. You're not going to get any extra value out of it. But he decides not to go for that. And he picks up a Laughing Sister, arguably the worst dream card. And there we go, there's the GG from OmegaCrabLegs. Andrew Boyd takes it 2-0. We're going into the 3rd game. It's going to be Mage against Druid. And I have to really feel for Paddy Byrne at this point. I think he's going to have a very difficult time. A very, very tough time defeating Andrew Boyd. But we shall see. Aggressive mage deck. Will it be able to topple this Druid? I have a hard time believing so, and here we go. Well, he's got the coin on mage. That's a big deal. A very, very big deal. Especially starting with a Mana Worm. They both have some very, very nice early game plays. We'll see what comes out. I'd imagine Mana Worm turn 1. Coin into Arcane Missiles is a possibility, however, I would not recommend it. And he decides better of it, and that's a very, very smart decision. Nat Pale comes out here. and draws him a card instantly. That's excellent, excellent value. Coin Arcane Missiles I'd be anticipating. He opts for the Arcane Missiles first. The correct decision, and he's going to be able to kill that if he wants. Okay, and he's just going to sit. And Wrath just deals with Mana Worms so perfectly. And I hate to say it, but running a Void Ooze, especially, well, I guess he went Mage. He had one deck left. He probably wasn't allowed to alter it, I can't imagine. I'm no admin, but I can't imagine he'd be allowed to alter his picks at this point, and it's not looking good for Paddy Byrne already. However, that Water Elemental, as I mentioned before, is a great 4-drop. He has a good trade here. He can take out that Hero Power and look to get that Loot Hoarder out. And undoubtedly that'll be the play he's going to opt for here. Oh, he's gone for the Void Ooze. Acidic Swamp Ooze, sorry, not Void Ooze. And here comes the swipe play. And I'd imagine followed up with a Claw to get the most out of his mana. Excellent job. And this is a real 50-50 game at this point. I cannot recall if he runs Polymorph in his deck.
Mind if I roll knee?
Now,
We must cleanse
okay,
the sun
so he's got 2 3/2s at this point. That's pretty decent against Druid. A lot of Druids don't run Starfall. It's a very expensive card. Be interesting to see what he picks up here. He's going for the Can Bloodhoof. Obviously, it's massively countered by Polymorph, especially at 6 mana, because he can poly Hero Power. But just think about that. Can Bloodhoof one card, Polymorph 1 card. If you use the Hero Power as well, that's 6 mana. It's really a very, very cost-efficient card, even though the Mage has got the drop on you. He's going to freeze that. I'd imagine he'd attack directly. No! Instead, opting for the card draw. A good decision, perhaps. And here we have Druid of the Claw coming out. It'll be interesting to see whether he's going to play the Loot Hoarder. Obviously massively countered by the Hero Power of Mage. Still, it's essentially a no card cost card.
You call that a weapon?
He's going to buff up the Cleric here and use Arcane Missiles. He really should have attacked first. Really should have attacked first with his buffed up minion, as to get the most value out of Arcane Missiles. So that's a small mistake there from Paddy Byrne. Although at this point I think it's really looking like his biggest mistake was his card selection in his decks. I really don't want to be too critical of the poor man. Although he did make it to finals, so we can't be too critical. He did make it to finals. And at this point, 2 innovates. NighT's looking a bit card starved. And Paddy's not looking too bad. So we'll see how this goes. He can't attack right now with that. We'll just get demolished. And he's going to end his turn, the correct decision. And he really is very card starved. He's going to buff that up and I imagine take out the Yeti. And possibly Faceless Manipulator it. However, if Paddy manages to break through this with relative ease, he's going to be in a very good position. For example, if he pulls a Flame Strike. And Paddy is right back in this game. Let me tell you, it was looking extraordinarily dire for him, but he top decks the Flame Strike. And this game has just swung in Paddy's favour quite heavily. Oh, that claw is going to be huge as it allows him to take out that Mana Wraith. Oh, and he decides to elects to play that. I'm not sure that was a wise decision. It's going to get taken out by the Hero Power, obviously. He doesn't have anything else to spend his mana on, he may as well take it out. And that's just an extra little bit of card draw, and he pulls the Ysera. That's a huge pull at this point in the game. And he elects to play the Yeti. If he doesn't double innovate, that is questionable. Paddy Byrne only has one card. The chances of it being a polymorph, excruciatingly low. Perhaps trying to bait out the polymorph if he has one with his Yeti, but he doesn't. He gets fireballed in the face. And I really think, if he's not careful, Andrew Boyd could easily throw this game. And if he stays true to form, he's going to wrath, and he does. He wraths the Golem and Hero powers. He could be getting a lot of free cards right now. I suppose he is afraid of the polymorph, but he would at least get one free card. I'm not sure he's made the correct decision. Just imagine if Paddy Byrne pulls a polymorph by the time he does play that Ysera. But at the same time, Paddy Byrne is really not in any economic position card-wise. And here comes a swipe again. Really think he should have held on to that card draw. That spell his name escapes me. I have it. I play it all the time. You'd think I'd be able to remember, but again, there. Got to save himself a bit of health, especially against the mage. And this refusal to play Ysera is really hurting it. Really hurting him tremendously. And he's down to 15 health now. This is... well, that's going to help. He's going to be able to take out the Argent Commander, but I think he's played this very poorly. And he probably will still end up winning the game. As Paddy really has no late game transition, and he's just got crushed early. But Andrew Boyd has really had the option to fucking crush him. My apologies for the swear, it's if you have young children. And here comes the Gruul. Now the Gruul could be big here, and he may not have any other option but to play Ysera at this point. Oh, and top decks the Tinkmaster, wowie! I'd be very surprised if he doesn't innovate out Ysera right now. A little bit lucky in this series with the Tinkmaster RNG, getting the 5/5 each time. But nothing has changed. Nothing has changed out of Paddy Byrne. He has held onto that mirror image the entire time. Just really putting him at risk of the polymorph. And again, Paddy identifies his only real chance is to go for face. Unfortunately, I did look through his deck list. He does not run Pyroblast. And he's going to have an extraordinarily tough time finishing this game. Those taunts may be able to delay the inevitable.
I shall bring you rest.
And here it looks like Andrew Boyd just going to clear the board. A good decision in my opinion. And yes, I think that's the correct decision there. Just using his hero power, keep himself as healthy as possible, identifying that's the only way he's going to lose this game and potentially this series, and pulls another dream from the dream card. He's in real trap trouble, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. The acidic swamp ooze comes out. A second one, I believe. This was obviously to counter a warrior deck, perhaps, which NighT ran. But obviously he didn't run it. He didn't need to run it because Paddy hasn't been able to take one game off him. This game's going to look like it's going to be over extraordinarily soon, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Boyd just asserting his board control, and it's not looking good for him at all.
For the wild.
Just a reminder to everyone, the winner of this series receives a lovely gift voucher. Go to GaelicGaming.com to sign up for future events and subscribe to Gaelic Gaming TV for more videos. And here we go. He's got a few more cards. It's looking like it's going to be too little too late. And indeed that dinosaur, sorry, has has been sent back into his hand multiple times. The Nightmare coming in is going to be the nail in the coffin. And that's going to be a good game. Well played. Andrew Boyd is going to take the series. Andrew Boyd is the winner of the lovely gift voucher. Andrew Boyd is the champion. Well played, Paddy Byrne. Didn't quite have enough on this day. I've been PoopsD420. Be sure to check me out on YouTube. I make very interesting videos. And catch you next time. See you later.